All right. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Alovéa Pros podcast. And we are back. This is something that we interview coaches, trainers, athletes, and healthcare professionals who have been sponsored by this company called Alovéa. And this one's a really exciting. This is the first time I've ever interviewed with somebody who does this as an athlete. And boy, oh boy, I'm excited to have Michele with me tonight. And I'll tell you what she does in a second here. But Michele, I'm excited to be here with you tonight.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Excellent. So, okay, you got to tell everybody because you're how you got sponsored as a pro here is because you were a boxer. That's what you did. You were in boxing, and I'm a tennis guy. I built the largest tennis school in Canada, so I can easily say you would win because tennis players don't know how to box. We like to dodge tennis balls. So, how did you get into boxing? Like, like, when did this start in your life, and how did it become such a big part of your life?
I mean, I've always been an athlete. So I started at, normal 10-year-old softball, and then progressed to soccer. And then from there, when I went to college, I started playing rugby. And then when I was in
Seeing a
college,
trend
yeah,
here.
you can see it going up here. And then in college, I was like, all right, I should probably learn a little self-defense. So then I did karate. So I did Kempo karate for many years and got up to a black belt. And then I was like, well, there isn't a whole lot of contact, so I'd like some contact. I did have 4 older brothers, so that helped that process along. And then so I found Muay Thai kickboxing. So then I started getting into Muay Thai kickboxing. And then we were training in a boxing gym. And what I was discovering with the Muay Thai is if I was watching the hands, I was getting kicked in the head. And if I was watching the feet, I was getting punched in the head. So I was like, this isn't working. And so since I was in a boxing gym and I was watching a professional fight and train, I was like, hey, can you show me a few things? And her and her husband did. And then I was hooked, and I was like,
Really? So what is
yeah,
it like? What is it that you get hooked about boxing? Because I love how you just used words that aren't in normal people's vernacular, being kicked in the head, or I mean, these are just things we're not used to. So, like, what is it about in the world of boxing? Like, what, like you're like, wow, this is it. This is what I really want to focus on.
well, for me, it was I'm a physical person and I like to train, and I don't mind getting hit. I don't mind that physicality. And again, I think it had to do with being the youngest of 6 and having 4 older brothers who just kind of threw me around, and I was like, whatever. And then to be able to now get to a point where I could defend myself and be like, all right, try that again. Let's try that now. Let's see what happens. So that's
Wait,
kind
so
of.
have you taken this out on your siblings at an older age here?
No, I don't have to now because they know. Some of them have seen me fight and they're like, yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah. Well,
It's
good
like,
for
so
you.
mission accomplished.
Yeah, I guess it really is. I mean, and it's really cool. And I mean, just even the learning process, I guess there's a whole lot of the different kind of skill and techniques and the observation of seeing how somebody's presenting you and learning defense compared to offense. Is that a kind of a true statement?
Yes, for sure. When I first saw it, I was like, okay, this can't be that difficult. It's just someone standing there getting hit. And then I actually got in there and I was like, okay, there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of cardio, and then there's also a lot of strength involved. And it's really, yes, you can't be afraid to get hit. I have worked with people who, um, once I retired, I was still kind of involved with MMA because MMA started coming up. And so I was trying to help women because it's very hard to find people to spar with, but particularly women. And so I kind of stayed in the field and stayed in shape enough to spar with individuals. And I had a few MMA fighters who they really wanted to fight and they were really good at the grappling, but then when they got in with me, they couldn't handle the contact. They couldn't handle the contact to their face. And that's part of it. You've got to be able to take a hit and then react. I mean, ideally you'll slip it and you won't get hit, but you're not going to do that for too long.
Yeah, I mean, it's called a TKO for a reason, right? It's or not a TKO. I guess it's just a knockout. Because sometimes you do get hit so hard. And that's interesting. So you went in and you were helping, supporting some of these up and coming MMA fighters. And do you still do any coaching on that side of things in the boxing and MMA world? Is that something that, or did you do a bunch of that and did you enjoy that?
I did it for a little bit and really was working with my trainer who was helping people. And then probably I haven't really done a whole lot in the last 10 years because then as I transitioned, I went into sprint triathlons because then I was still very physical and I wanted to really challenge myself. So then I started training in sprint triathlons. And I noticed that when I was swimming and training, it affected my jab.
Mm,
So
interesting.
because I was building up different muscles.
Isn't that
So I kind of
fascinating?
Yeah, so I had to kind of make a decision. I was like, yeah, I think I'm ready to kind of transition and really go all in on this. So then I kind of transitioned to
I
sprint
didn't
track.
even know that part. So your whole kind of sporting career has been kind of fascinating, from kind of an amateur sport to professional sport to taking on the things you're passionate about. What is sprint triathlon? I mean, is it kind of what I think it is? Is it just shorter distances and you're going all out, or so explain that?
Yeah, it's just a smaller version of like the Iron Man, except not the Iron Man. I think the swim is usually about 400 meters, and the bike is usually between 10 and 15 miles, and then the run is usually a 5K. And since I started doing this down in Florida, I would do all of them on the beach because I liked being on the beach and training on the beach. And then all the swims were in the Gulf of Mexico. And so I liked that challenge. I like the challenge of nature because that's what it was about for me. It was just, what can I do? What can I achieve next? What can I work towards next? So
Well, it's fascinating that you've pushed your body and mind to the limits, because I've never even heard of sprint triathlon before, and that has got to be the scariest race I think I've ever heard. Because a triathlon's hard enough to begin with, but to do it where you're pushing yourself, it's like the 400 meter, right? The 400 meter in track and field is so tough. So you've pushed your mind and your body in such a way. And of course, now you're the sponsored athlete with the Alovéa Pros program, this in Alovéa being a world-renowned nutritional based company. How were you introduced to this company, and what was it that caught your attention about wanting to get involved with these products?
out, I started dating someone who was involved in Alovéa. And so I was kind of like, I don't know about this. And then as we were like dating longer, I was like, well, I guess I should probably try. I should probably check this out, kind of serious. And so I gave it a go and I tried it was like a metabolic kit to really help with your metabolism. And at the time I had just kind of finished doing the sprint tries a lot where I was training twice a day and things like that. I had just kind of stopped doing a lot of that. And so I was like, well, we'll see what this does. And I must admit, I doubted it. I really did. But then I tried it and I was pleasantly surprised because I'm very in tune with my body, as you might imagine, because that's just kind of what I do. And so I could really feel the difference and the change inside with just with my metabolism. And it was just revving. I wasn't doing anything for it to be revving except for introducing these new products. And so that was just amazing. And then I also, um, have a science background. So I have a degree in biology, and I was always very fascinated with the body and immunology and all of that. And so when I was explained some of these products and what was happening to the body, it clicked. Like I knew exactly what they were talking about. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Of course, it's that, and that. Like, yeah, of course it's going to do that.
Yeah, that's
So
so
that was
cool. Well, tell me about like how. So you went from like just experiencing that product, you're almost like kind of forced to, right? It's like, you should try these products. It's like, oh, okay. You're skeptical, but you've noticed the difference now. And of course, I think it's interesting when you talk to coaches or trainers or athletes and even healthcare professionals where, when you're pushing your body, you're more in tuned to connect to that body. So a lot of times you hear people, they can almost notice the subtle shifts. Like when people are really sick and they take something and they feel better, that's obvious. But when you're an athlete, you're kind of so in tune with how the body's reacting. Have you advanced into any of the other products that are with Alovéa? And what do you think the product's doing, especially with your science background, that it's doing to the body to have these kind of this impact for you?
Well, for me, it's actually gone another step because I've been utilizing these products for about 5 years now, and so now I'm in my early 50s. And so, what happens to women in their early 50s is our hormones start to change. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I started utilizing the Balance product, and that's helped me tremendously. Which again, it surprised me, and I don't know why it surprised me when I, was, you know, using the products before in an athlete perspective, and it was so effective. But again, I'm kind of like old school, I mean, boxing was old school. I mean, I didn't chase any chickens, but if there were chickens around, the trainer probably would have had me chasing chickens because that's just old school mentality. So another nice thing about this is to be more educated, and to learn more, even more about my body than I thought I knew. So yeah, so a lot of the different products I have kind of layered the products. So everybody's everybody's body's a little different. So it's really kind of tweaking what works for you
Mm-hmm.
and what stage of life you're in. Like I wish I had these products when I was training because
Yeah.
they would have helped me in my recovery and just that whole overall perspective of it. I wish I had that, and that's part of what I try to really enlighten people about, especially the younger crowd when they're training. I'm like, this will only enhance what you're doing to your body and what you're doing for your body.
I think that younger crowd may need to Google chickens and boxing and understand that reference because that was
Yeah.
pretty funny.
Hopefully you
It's
do.
yeah. Well, my wife and I are actually similar ages as you, and so like that Balance product, as an example, is one of those products that my wife was very similar to you, and you guys know each other, and she has got a whole science background and a very big athletic background like you, and she was kind of like, yeah, it makes all sense, but it was new to her, and and going through that hormone process was so critically important for her. Well, once she started taking Balance, she's like, I can't live without that product. It's had such a tremendous positive impact, and of course most men don't realize how the importance of dealing with their hormones as well. So I never miss a day of taking that Balance as well. So but it's interesting because you could have been taking these products, just continually using the products because obviously they've had a positive impact on what you're still doing and whatnot. But you also decided to be a sponsored pro. And there is a special program where coaches, trainers, athletes, and healthcare professionals, both current pros and retired athletes, can join and be sponsored. In my background in tennis, I was always sponsored by Wilson and I was always sponsored by Adidas. And, I would pick companies that I was willing to put my name attached to. I wanted to know that I believed in that company and that product. What was it, the reasoning for you to say, you know what, I want to align my credibility, my name, and be sponsored with this company? What was the thing that said, I really want to be a sponsored athlete here?
Well, for me, it was just the fact that it's real, that the products are real, and that was really important for me. And then to really want to help people, like I struggled, and I didn't, knowing that these products now, maybe I wouldn't have had to struggle so much.
Mm.
Why not try to help people not have to go through those same challenges that I went through? So that's really important to me. I still have a pretty good base. I have a more wider range of athlete friends and colleagues and things like that. So I have like quite a few connections with that. So it's really, really trying to use my credibility and just let them know that there's something else that can help them. I don't have to. Sometimes I run into people who are like, well, you want me to take this instead of this? And I'm like, well, no, you're doing your own thing and you know your body. I'm just letting you know that this can help you.
Mm.
And you can kind of figure out how it's going to help you and what amounts and what different items, but I know it can help you. And so that was really important to me.
Well, and I think it's interesting too, because the world's shifted now where people are more interested in the cleanliness of the product or where it's come from and what's behind it. And because we're a food-based technology company, all these products are from food-based. There's no artificial colors, flavors, sweeteners. It's very, very clean, but real science around the taking those active ingredients of food, of real critical food that can transform health, and the studies behind it. I'm sure that creates interest. But one of the things, I'm intrigued to ask you, because most athletes have been coached their whole life, and then a lot of times you get into coaching and helping others, or people want to know, well, what should I take? Just like you said, you give people options, saying this might be something you can consider. But Alovéa is different in the sense they're also a social business, meaning kind of like Warby Parker. Every single product that's provided or that's sold, it creates a matching serving of the core active ingredient called Ace Mannan or Alovéa AE, is then donated to children around the world. We're about to surpass 60 million servings to children. Knowing that now you're making an impact also, because every time you share these products with people, you're also making that impact. How did that tie into your decision being aligning yourself with this company?
I mean, for me, it's like the next level. It's like being able to help, uh, even like the smallest thing. So one serving helps somebody.
Mm.
And so I find that it's just amazing. And 60 million, I mean, to be part of that, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's like you're leaving your own legacy, and we all get to be a partner in doing that. And like you said, a lot of people are taking other products. That's great. And if they're kind of comparing which one should we take, well, hey, this is nourishing you and it's nourishing a child. Why don't you partner with us and become a consumer that can actually make a difference in the world? It's pretty powerful. Okay, I'm going to throw out a curveball at you, and knowing you played softball, you'll probably hit a home run with this one, and with all of your sporting background, because I know you and Michele, and I know you've just taken up a new sport. Compared to everything you've done, you are now starting to play this crazy sport called paddle. It's not pickleball, it's not tennis, it's not squash. It's like a weird combination of all of them, but it's absolutely brilliant. So much fun. What are you thinking of this sport compared to sprint triathlons, compared to boxing? Like, are you enjoying this world of a racket sport?
Well, I mean, I think it's fun. It's just fun. And so I think it's just the best sport right now. And I think for me at my age, that I don't want to blow my knee out. I don't want to blow out my Achilles. It's the way paddle is set up. You don't. I don't have to worry so much about those injuries because that's part of it. Like I'm well aware of what injuries can do and then how much it sets you back, which I hate. So with paddle, it's just so much fun, and it's just such a great community. And it's because of you, because I remember we discovered it when you were down at the pad in Sarasota, and we're like, what?
What is this
We had to,
crazy
yeah, we
sport?
had to go check this out. So I mean, this is amazing. Tennis and racquetball. This
Yeah.
is great.
Well, it's so much fun to see kind of a lifelong athlete, but also you've got that science background, somebody who's kind of competed at the highest levels, but then also taking care of their body, constantly focus on what can I do to constantly support my body and then be able to share it. So we're just honored to have you as an Alovéa Pro and really appreciate being part of the podcast tonight.
No, thank you so much. This has been great, and I certainly appreciate everything. And I will be on these products for life. There's no doubt. I just hope I can help others, and help more kids too.
Well, that's so awesome. Well, thank you very much. And for everybody else, we'll see you on our next Alovéa Pros podcast.